Hi everyone, welcome to the online class Kilora. I'm Lavanya. So, today in this class, we are going to learn how to set up e-way bills in Tally ERP 9. So, let's learn one by one with along with the steps and examples. Okay, so the first thing is you can enable and generate this e-way bills for transportation of goods in Tally. To set up this e-way bill in Tally ERP 9, you have to follow few steps. So the first step will be you have to update the Tally ERP 9. So you have to make sure you're using a version of Tally ERP 9 that supports e-way bill generation. It is very important to have this latest version to access the e-way bill features. Okay, so here this after updating this Tally ERP 9, the second step will be configure this e-way bill. So configure e-way bill, from the main menu you have to go to F11, that is features. Then under that you have to select the statutory and taxation, and then you have to enable the goods and service tax option, and then in the GST detail screen you have to enable the e-way bill and set up the necessary details. So here, after configuring the e-way bill, the you have to go to the main menu, then you have to click F11 and you'll get features in it, and then you have to go under statutory and taxation and then enable the goods and service tax, and then you have to set GST details, yes, and in the GST details screen you have to enable the e-way bill and set up the necessary details as shown in the screen. And when you click on this F11, you'll get a features, and then you will enable the goods and service tax and you'll get a GST detail screen. This will be the screen when you click on the GST detail screen, and you'll get an option here. You have to enable the e-way bill and set up the necessary details. So e-way bill applicable is you have to give it yes here, and then you have to proceed. In the company GST screen, the e-way bill option includes applicable date and threshold limit are provided. So applicable date and threshold limited will be given. So you have to set according to yours, and then you have to proceed it. And the next is in the party ledger. If you have selected the registration type as a regular or a composite, the goods and service tax identification number or UIN is considered as a transporter ID. Unknown or unregistered, the enter the 15-digit transport ID. So when you go to the party ledger, you have to select the registration type. So the registration type, if you select regular, you'll get goods and service tax identification number. Consider it as a transport ID. If it is unregistered, you have to enter 15 digits transporter ID there, and you have to proceed it. So the next step will be enter e-way bill details. In the GST details screen, you have to enter the necessary details like e-way bill generate type. It can be manual or auto. So Your e-way bill portal credential and other required information should be uploaded. And later you have to ensure your company GST registration detail and the transport detail of accurately entered. And you have to create a transaction with e-way bill when creating a sales invoice or a purchase invoice. Make sure to enter the e-way bill information such as transport type, vehicle number, distance, e-way bill number, etc. Once you save the invoice, Tally ERP9 will automatically promote you to generate an e-way bill. So you have to generate this e-way bill once all the details are entered and the invoice are saved. You can generate this e-way bill. You can also generate this e-way bill from the main menu by going to display, statutory, and then statutory report, and then to the GST, and then e-way bill. And after generating this e-way bill, you have to submit this e-way bill. After generating this e-way bill, submit to the GST portal. If you have configured Tally ERP9 to connect the e-way bill portal, the submission can be automated. So then finally you have to print this e-way bill. Once the e-way bill is generated and submitted, you can print it out for a record. So by following these steps, you can set up and generate this e-way bill in Tally RP9 for complaint transaction of goods. So as I told, in the first step, you'll go and open the company, and then you have to update the Tally ERP9, and then the next step will be configure this e-way bill. So you will go to the main menu and press F11, that is features. Under that statutory and taxation, you'll enable the goods and service tax, that is GST, and you'll give it as yes. And then you'll set or alt GST details will be asked, and you will give it as yes. And then in the company GST details screen, this e-way bill option includes the applicable date and threshold limits are provided. So you can see in the screen, when you go to this set GST details yes, you have to come here the state will be given, registered type, everything will be mentioned. The access of other territory will also be given. GSTIN will also be added. Applicable from is also date will be updated, and periodicity of SGTR1 will be also mentioned. And here the e-way bill applicable will be should be given as yes, and the application from the date will be entered, and the threshold limited includes will also be added. With the following list, you have to choose it and mention there. And the threshold limit will be always 50,000, and applicable for intrastate will be yes, and the threshold limit will be 50,000. And enable tax liability on advance receipt will be no. Enables tax liability on reserve charge will be yes. Purchase from unregistered dealer will be yes. Here you have to set alt GST rate details will be no. Enabling the GST classification will be no, and provides this LUT bond details will be no. So this is how you're going to set the GST details, yes. And later in the company, the GST details screen will be popped. Here is the details screen. In the ledger, if you have selected the registration type, that is, they'll ask for a registration type and access of other territory is an e-commerce operator. Consider the party as a deemed exporter for purchase, party type, and goods and service tax identification number. or UIN is the transported ID. So this is how the GST detail will be popped on a screen. So you have to select the registration type, that is regular or unregular, or composition or unknown. If it is regular, the goods and service tax identification number or UIN is considered as a transporter ID. If it is unknown, you have to enter the 15-digit transportation ID. So this is how you're going to do a first step, and you are going to create this each transaction with e-way bills and generate the e-way bill. And the second thing is record invoice with the detail required for e-way bill and create JSON. Here, when you enable the e-way bill for the company, the option export e-way bill details from invoice after saving is also enabled in a voucher configuration screen. The first step will be you have to go to the gateway of Tally and you have to click on accounting voucher and then F8, and then you have to click on sales. And the second step will be select the party ledger, sales ledger, and stock items and tax ledger. When the invoice value is 50,000 or more, the option provides GST or e-way bill details appears, which is set to say yes. Press enter to review the statutory detail screen. In the statutory details screen, enter the mandatory details required for generating the e-way bill. And next step will be if goods are transported in different modes of vehicles, press Ctrl plus T, that is transporter details, and enter the transporter details. Accept the transporter details screen, and next will be press enter to accept the invoice. The export detail for e-way bill screen appears. And the next step will be after pressing enter, you have to create a JSON file. The folder in which the JSON is created now appears. Then you have to upload this JSON file to the portal to generate the e-way bill. So the next step will be return to the invoice in Tally ERP9. You have to enter the e-way bill number and you have to enter the e-way bill date in update of e-way bill information screen. So these are the steps you're going to proceed in recording the invoice with the detail required for e-way bill and create the JSON. So when you enable this e-way bill of a company, the option export e-way bill details from invoice after saving is also enabled in the voucher configuration screen. So this is the voucher class of GST, and when you go to the gateway of Tally, you have to select the accounting voucher and then you have to choose F8 and sales. This is the sales invoice with the details required for the e-way bill will be party account name, current balance, sales ledger, and the date and the day will be entered, and the name of the item you have to be added there, and the quantity and the rate per and the discount percent amount will be total, and then the total amount will be divided to CGST and SGST, and then there will be a detail that is very mandatory. So you can see this red color box. Inside that they have given a provide GST or e-way bill details. You have to mention it as yes, and then you have to narration. You have to give a narration for it. And the next step will be selecting the party ledger, sales ledger, or stock item or any other tax ledger. When the invoice value is 50,000 or more, The option provides GST or e-way bill details will appear when it is set to yes. So if you want any GST or e-way bill details, you have to press it as appear it as or set it as yes. So after setting it as yes, you have to enter it and the statutory detail will be screened.